everybody, good morning. This is Kiana from KLIT Consulting, a public benefit corporation, and I am coming to you with another quick video just discussing some things related to finance. This time it's going to be about finance, other times it might be about business, but today it's going to be about related to finance and home buying. And just speaking from my personal experiences, I have owned a home 3 times. I've owned 3 homes in my life, and I think I have enough experience to really speak on the pros and cons of buying a home. And I wanted to touch on this because I hear a lot of people talk about how much of a waste it is to rent because you're throwing away money and you're not getting any equity in your property and so forth. And I get that. You're not building any equity. You are just paying somebody every month to have a roof over your head. So I get it. And, but I mean, in some situations, that's what works best for people. And I just don't think that you should knock somebody just because they are renting. I know people have rented for years. Like, I know one guy, he's been renting for like 20 years and he's doing just fine, and he's content and fine with that. Sometimes people may rent, but they have other investments as well. So, although they're not building equity in a house and have that asset, they have other assets. So you have to look at it that way too. Anyway, so I just wanted to touch on this topic because, like I said, so many people talk about home buying and how you need to hurry up and buy a home. And we live in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, so it's a very hot real estate market here as well. And they're just like, oh, you need to hurry up and buy a home because home prices are going to keep climbing, and it's such a hot market. You could buy a home now and sell it in a couple years and make money off of it, and it's just all that. So I hear that a lot too. Not really what I'm interested in at this time, but I do want to buy another home within the next year because we just moved here a couple of years ago, and so just trying to take time, like buying the next home. And I'm definitely not in a rush to buy another home, because I know that it's a really big deal, and I didn't always used to think that way, but from my experiences, I know it's a really big deal. So I have actually experienced like foreclosure before. I've experienced like bad loans before. Also, moving into a home where, it was kind of in over our heads, just really looking back was not the best time to buy that type of home. So speaking from, and also, selling the home, but not selling it for enough, not pricing it right. So my first experience with home buying, I bought my first home in 2004, and in Arkansas. I was still living in Arkansas. It's actually 2003. Yeah. Didn't stay in a home that long because we ended up moving to St. Louis after I had my daughter. And so, we bought that home, and it was a starter home pretty much. Nothing fancy, of course. We were very young at the time. So it was a simple home. It was very inexpensive in an inexpensive area, but it was also, a hot market there at the time. So fast forward about a year, in a few months or something like that, we decided to move back to, to my hometown of St. Louis. And, so we had to sell the house. So I decided to, instead of going through a realtor, I decided to go ahead and do for sale by owner because didn't feel like dealing with the realtor fees and all that kind of stuff, and because I had talked to a couple of them, but I was like, if we could sell it on our own, it's a pretty good market here and it shouldn't be too hard. So we went to the hardware store and got the sign, the for sale by owner sign, and put that up in the yard. Researched, where to advertise the house and the MLS and all of that stuff. And I mean, I'm very impressed when I think about how I did that. I pretty much did that on my own because my husband did not help me. But that was like years ago too. But anyway, so researched all that, advertised the house, and got some people interested in it, and actually, sold the house within a few months. So it only took like maybe 4 months to sell the house, which, I mean, I know it's not super quick, but I mean, for us selling the home on our own, we didn't do any staging or anything like that. I mean, we didn't do anything pretty much. We just took our furniture out and cleaned it up. That was pretty good. So, but looking back, I actually sold the house and like broke even. And I know that we could have made a profit off that house, but we did not price it right, because I had looked at, comparable homes in the area and said, oh, well, let's price for this much. We don't want to price it too high, though. And I just wasn't thinking, didn't know, hadn't been educated, so it's just like, looking back, I'm like, wow, we could have made a profit off that house, and we didn't. We pretty much gave somebody the hookup on that house. But, it's all good. So that was the first house experience. Second house, so we moved into like a split level house in St. Louis, and we actually, got one of those. So this was like in 2008, I think. Yeah, I think it was 2008 or something like that. No, 2006. No, yeah, I'm tripping. That's the third house. The second house was bought in 2005. Anyway, so that house, like I said, was a split level house. It wasn't super new, but it was a pretty nice, house. It had like excuse me, it had like a deck. It had a patio, a nice, sized backyard. It was in a pretty decent neighborhood, at least at that time it was a pretty decent neighborhood. And, it had like nice walking areas, not too far from a lake and stuff. So, yeah. Anyway, that house stayed in there, I think maybe 3 years. But we had an ARM loan on that house, and we refinanced while we were in the house. So when we refinanced for an amount that was like $10,000 more than what we originally paid for the house. So by the time we tried to move out, that's when the real estate market was crashing and everything, and everything was going crazy, like selling the house and stuff. And so, our refinance kind of messed us up, because the house had lost a lot of value because of the real estate market changing, and in that area there were like a high number of foreclosures and short sales. And so, long story short, we was not able to sell the house for what we needed to sell it for to get out of the house. So we were having a house built, our third house, we was having it built. And so, we ended up renting the house, the house that we were trying to sell. We ended up renting it out because we couldn't sell it because of the, the pricing and everything. So we couldn't, price it low enough. And then the bank wouldn't even let us do a short sale. So we were just kind of screwed at the time with our options. So we went ahead and rented it, had a couple of tenants in there. The first tenant was terrible. She moved out after a few months, thank goodness, because she was bad. The second tenant, she was pretty good. She was really good. She was reliable. Never had any issues with her at all. She moved out after, I think, about a year or something like that. And so after she moved out, I was just trying to think, like, should I sell the house? And, I talked to this real estate company that specialized in buying homes and, or buying them from the bank for a low price. And, and they were trying to get the home for me and, from the bank, and the bank wouldn't agree to an amount. And it was just a difficult time. So I ended up having to just let the house go, because I didn't want to deal with it. I didn't want to deal with trying to manage the property, especially having another bad tenant and all that. And, we were young at the time, had a small kid, and I just didn't want to deal with all that. So we ended up letting that house go ultimately into foreclosure. And yes, that's a bad thing. But at the time, it just seemed like it was the best way to get out of the house and get it off our hands. So that's what we did. So, these people, they get on my neck. Oh my goodness, they get on my nerves. Anyway, so I'm in this traffic trying to get to work. Anyway, so, I just thought that it would be a good time to do a video. So, yeah. So that ended badly. So we in our new home that we built from the ground up, which was awesome. and all excited about that. Oh, we got a brand new home, and we built it from the ground up, and we're young and we built the house and all that excitement. But looking back, we weren't really ready for that house either, because we got in there and finances were tight. We didn't even get all the upgrades in the house. We didn't even get that many upgrades at all in the house. We didn't even get a fireplace in the house. We didn't have all the light fixtures. We didn't have the upgrades in the kitchen, so it was a brand new house, but it was pretty much basic. And looking back again, mistakes made, not putting enough into the house to build the equity that we needed to build, which would have really benefited us by the time we wanted to sell the house. We should have put probably at least 10 to 15,000 worth of upgrades into that house, in the kitchen, between the kitchens and the bathrooms to start, because that's what really sells a home. We did not do that. When we eventually tried to sell the house, like several years later, we were having some issues because, again, the housing market in that area kind of went down, and home property values went down a little bit because there was a high number of foreclosures and short sales in the area, so that affected our home, and we hadn't built the equity that we needed to build in a home. So that hurt us. So that's something else that you want to think about. Just because you're moving into a new home or you're getting a home built, you want to get, if you don't get the right upgrades in the beginning, you need to do that while you're in the house. So get ready to set aside, some money, to get the right upgrades that's going to sell the home. Bathroom and kitchen upgrades are, the biggest sellers, I think, for a home, from what I've heard anyway and researched. So that was the mistake made in that house. And also for 5 years while living in that house, I was in bankruptcy. So, it was just looking back, we didn't even need to get that house for real. We could have gotten something that was a little less, maybe 10 to 15,000 less than what that house was, and got more in the house, so more for less. Because there was a couple other houses that we looked at that we could have gotten, but no, we wanted to get a house built and all that kind of stuff. So, like I said, I'm speaking from personal experience. So yeah, we moved to a different area now, hot real estate market here. Looking to buy within the next year, because we're going on a little over 2 years now in our lease. So we are definitely looking to buy, by next summer. And so I'm doing my research now, taking my time, and not going to make the same mistakes that I made in the past. And I don't want you all to make those mistakes either. That's why I'm telling my business and letting y'all know what I did. Don't do it as well. So I hope that this information has been helpful to you. Good luck in your home buying journey. If you're looking, or you've already started saving money, and or you're about to move into a house, just keep these things in mind of what I spoke on. And so thanks for tuning in, and I will talk to you all later. Bye bye.